I took a cutting from a Monstera plant about 4 months ago as part of a propagation video that I wanted to make. Long story short, I botched that video and I didn't end up finishing editing it. So I've basically just had this cutting sitting in water for the last 4 months getting roots. And I also have a small little Rhaphidophora decursiva cutting in here as well, just to see how it does in water. So for the last 4 months, I've been trying to figure out what to use these plants for in regards to video content. So I decided that I'm going to try and grow these in water long term. I started researching what a plant needs to grow in water long term, and it turns out it's the exact same thing as what a plant needs when it grows in soil. Obviously, the most important thing is they need a light source, so whether that is natural sunlight or whether you use grow lights like myself downstairs here, there is no natural sunlight. They also need water, air or oxygen, and nutrients. So like I said, this plant is underneath grow lights. It is growing very well in those conditions. It's in water, so obviously water is not an issue, but air and oxygen is a concern, but I'll come back to that in a moment. All plants need specific nutrients to grow, and when I fertilize my plants in soil, I use Dynagrow Foliage Pro. This is a liquid fertilizer, and I just dilute it in water. Now, if you look on the back, it does have a hydroponic production dosing as well. So I will be using, or I have been using, this fertilizer for my plant, or this plant that has been in water. So that's all that hydroponics is it's growing a plant in a nutrient-based solution. So I have just regular filtered tap water, and then I add this fertilizer into that water, and that is essentially what hydroponics is. Now back to the air and oxygen requirements for plants. When you have a plant in a soil that is too dense, or if it's staying waterlogged for too long, basically that is starving the roots of any oxygen or airflow, and this can lead to the breakdown of the roots, and ultimately this is what we call root rot. As long as there is airflow and there is oxygen getting to the roots, then it is providing a healthy environment for those roots to grow in, and that's how you get root rot from overwatering a houseplant. You basically starve it of oxygen, it creates that anaerobic environment, and it breaks down the roots. The same thing can happen when you have a plant in water. As it is right now, this is just standing basically in stagnant water. There is no way for the water to regenerate or replenish oxygen. One way to fix this is changing the water often. This not only replenishes the oxygen needed in the roots, but if you change your water weekly, this also keeps it looking healthy and clean. There can be, over time, a buildup of algae and other debris in your water, so just make sure that you switch out the water for some fresh stuff every so often, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever it is you decide. Now, I don't want to do that because I actually have 2 monsteras growing in containers of water. This one is a bit on the large side, and over time, in the long term, when I'm growing it in water, the plant is going to obviously grow and get large, so I can't be picking up the plant all the time and dumping it out for some fresh water. So what I've come up with is a solution to adding oxygen when a plant is in a larger container. And here it is, the AR11 portable air pump. I bought this off Amazon. This is rechargeable, has a section of tubing. It has like a weighted rock end, and you basically just tuck it in the container of water, push on the power button, and it generates air bubbles. So this larger monstera is in a small container. I'm going to be taking it out of this and placing it in something a little bit larger. Plus, I'm also going to be adding leca in it just to add stability to the plant cutting. Now, I'm not going to keep the air pump going all the time. I'll basically let it run for a couple minutes, let that oxygen replenish. It also circulates the water as well, so hopefully I don't get as much algae buildup. The other monstera had a bunch of algae kind of build up, and when I stuck the air pump in and turned it on, it started to aerate the water, but it also started to really smell. So I did have to replace the water in it. Yeah, it did not smell good, so I switched out the water, and then I probably won't have to I guess aerate it again with the pump for probably about another week or so. So I'll probably do this once a week, let those air bubbles circulate, and that in theory should replace the oxygen and kind of circulate the water all at the same time. I will be topping up the nutrient-based solution, the Dynagrow Foliage Pro mixed in water, and so yeah, this will obviously evaporate over time, and I'll just have to top up the water. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing. And yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to get this little portable unit, as I do have a Syngonium chia pens down there on the floor as well that is currently in water. So I'm going to toss this guy in here as well and just kind of perk it up a little bit with some bubbles. I brought the chia pens up on the table here just so I can have a better look at it. I do need a little bit of water. You can see the water level has gone down, so I'm going to top it up with my solution, something like that. And you can see, I'll get this water jug out of the way, at the bottom it's looking a little grimy. So I probably should replenish this water, but for right now I'm going to put the air pump in there. If it starts to smell, I'm definitely going to change out the water. So I'm going to get this guy down a little bit, kind of stir up the sediment, see if there's anything in here. I'm going to let this kind of pump away here for a minute, and then I'm going to take a sniff. If it stinks, I'm going to change out the water. Kind of sad it's losing this leaf. It shouldn't. So maybe it is getting into that anaerobic state. I'm not adding enough oxygen. So I'm just tearing off this lower leaf here, just like that. I'll discard that. I do have there's two cuttings, and they are growing on a support stake, so they can get larger leaves, hopefully. Here is the newest leaf since placing it in the water and leca solution here. So far, I'm not smelling any putrid smells or anything like that, so I think we're going to be okay. So yeah, I just topped it up, and I'm going to let this run for a couple more minutes. So while this continues to pump away, I'm going to add some leca into a fishbowl. This is what I'm going to use for that larger Monstera. Now, I thought this bag was larger than it is, so I don't know if I'm going to have enough leca, but I should be okay if I just have like half of the container. I'm just going to pour it all in here, like that. Now I'm going to take this outside and rinse it off. There's very fine kind of leca dust in there, plus I want to just kind of hydrate the leca. I'm just going to kind of scoop down as it goes. I'm going to see if I can position it like that, just so it's resting at the back. I don't know if you can see it or not. So that's adding or using the back as a support. And then I'm just going to move the leca around so it's stable like that. Now you can't see me at all, but I'm going to add some water into the container. I pre-mixed my fertilizer and water in a 4-liter jug. Now I'm just going to top it up like that. And it falls over. Maybe too much water. There, like that. Stay. So this is where the plants are. Here's another Monstera propagation project that I have ongoing. Yeah, maybe I'll do another video down the road, but here is the large fishbowl one, and then here's the small cutting. It is receiving light from this light, which I put on top of a grow pole or a plank, just like that. It's providing light for my little Syngonium plank down there, and then it gets light, supplemental light from my Mother Plant Spectrum grow light. This thing is absolutely amazing. I could probably use a couple more of these, and you can position it wherever you like. That's one thing that I love about this grow light in particular. It's super bright, and yeah, my plants do really well with this Mother Plant Spectrum grow light. So I'm going to let this little air pump go for another couple minutes, and I'm going to place my Syngonium back in its spot on the floor. Otherwise, I think that's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. If you've ever done this type of long-term growing houseplants and water project, let me know your experience in the comment section as well. Otherwise, thanks again for watching my videos. Take care. Bye.